Welcome to the Alain Elkann interviews, an unprecedented window into the minds of some of the most well-known and respected figures of the last 25 years.
Today we are with the Italian ambassador in London, Inigo Lambertini, who has a long career because he began his career in 1987. He's ambassador of Italy. He went in Africa, in Brazil, in Brussels, in Washington, in Paris. And then you were the chief of diplomatic protocol in Rome, also close to the president of Italy, Sergio Mattarella. You have several decorations. You have the Order Knight Cross, the Légion d'Honneur, and the Order of the Italian Republic. So you're multi. Today you have Italian Republic.
Italian Republic.
When you go to France, you put Légion d'Honneur.
When I go to Germany, I put it. To Spain.
Yeah, because you have from many other
but
countries.
that's the silly life of a chief of protocol. You have a lot of decoration because usually when you go on state visit, there is a exchange of decorations.
So when you go to an official evening, you can put many medals.
Well, I went, first time that I went to the diplomatic ball here in London, where you are asked to dress the full uniform, white tie, etc., with decoration. And so I had the privilege to put 7 of them. Even King Charles that had by far more than me, but he stopped to see, to ask
me
why.
He noticed that you had many. But tell me something. Is it still true, because of your experience, that Italy has a special place in the hearts of British people? This long friendship between the English and the Italians makes your job easier, the job of ambassador?
Yeah.
And is it still lasting, this kind of fascination of the English people for Italy and vice versa?
The first question, yes, I can say after 1 year that it's still lasting. We spent a weekend in Venice last weekend for an official event the embassy organized in Venice. And with a lot of your colleagues from Times, Economist, BBC, Telegraph, FT, I think that it was a clear success of what we call Venice Seminar. And it was a combination of the discussion that were held in the seminary, but also the fact that it's Venice, it's Italy. There is a positive approach on going to Italy of all the British people. I mean, at least 6 million Britons visit.
There's a great sympathy, for Italy.
Strong, a very
Besides
strong,
the politics and all this. But
well, Middle England, I don't know if it's politics, but sure the combination of art, food, fashion, the might of Dolce Vita, the fact that usually you are on holiday when you go to Italy, that helps a lot. Politics is true that currently we are in a very strong relations among our two countries. There is convergence and sympathy between the two prime ministers that it's at a high level in last decades, I can say.
We have seen that, because your prime minister came here in London, and the English Prime Minister went to a political meeting in Italy, and signed a friendship. But what do you think as an ambassador, as the ambassador at the moment? Is this friendship political friendship? Because the other friendship, of course, will remain, but is the political friendship going to last with the possibility of a new government, or if there will be a Labour government in this country? I guess you have met people of the Labour. I know you went to the meeting and so on and so forth. What is their approach vis-à-vis Italy?
Well, first of all, we have to see if they win the election, because until that you have the election, never
because
says
this
never.
is taken for granted.
Never. And recent episode in Western world allow us to say it's never granting until that you win. So all the dynamics looks like that there could be a Labour victory. So that means, and taking on account that the stability of the Italian government, it will be granted for some period. So it could be that some moment there will be a Labour government in UK and our government in Italy. Starmer and our first prime minister, they belong to different politics family. One thing is your life as politicians, one thing is your life when you are in power in the government. When you have to deal with the government of your country, there are some parameters that you cannot avoid. One of the parameters is that the level of cooperation, coordination, also common interests between Rome and London, they are very strong, very high. We are the largest European economy country after France and Germany, so we are a natural partner with London. Maybe if there will be a Labour government, at the beginning we have to find common language to develop, but there will be, as always.
That will be your job to find it.
I will be a very minor protagonist, but yes, it will be also the job of the embassy.
Since Brexit, you came here after Brexit, and you traveled not only in London, but you travel around the country and so on and so forth. What happens? How are the relationships? Because things are more difficult since Brexit between all the European countries and the UK, and therefore also Italy.
Brexit actually happened 4 years ago, because we just marked the 4th anniversary. 4 years is not a lot for a challenge of a so big paramount. Both sides, we needed to fine-tuning the real life after Brexit. Opinions that were very popular before, a very tragic. London will lose the financial relevance in the world. UK will be forgotten country on the northern part of Europe. This has not happened. If you go to the city of London, you see that the financial life is still very vibrant. We as Italian, we continue to have Italian people, young, professional, that come here and find their job, their future here in this country. Some of them very qualified. That, of course, it could be a problem for Italy that we're losing these brains, but that never stopped this process.
But some went back.
But
many went back.
Exactly. Someone went back, and in other cases, they are not coming anymore. I visited 24 universities in UK during my year as tenure. If you don't see any major effect of Brexit in the post-graduation, post-doc, etc., the presence of the Italian dottorandi, they are very high, very remarkable. There is clearly a crisis for the undergraduate student, like my children were years ago.
Because it's too expensive.
It's too expensive, especially if you compare with the alternative. If you are ready to pay a high prices for a postdoc, why you have to pay an amount of money for each single year of undergraduation that could allow you to try to go to the United States or another part? This is where really the Brexit has hit at least this academic world. And this could be with some effect in the future, because the English universities, the presence of foreign students is very important for the finance picture. If you do not have enough European, you move to other foreigners.
Yes.
And this could change also the future of the British university, the kind of courses that each single university will offer, the kind of approach of the studies that they could offer, so on, so on, so on. I'm saying this because this is something that I heard by several of people that are dealing with university, also in the top 5, which Oxford, Cambridge, UCL, Imperial College, LAC. It's a moment of a transition that not really affected the second part of your studies, but the beginning. And the problem is that when you're starting to lose the undergraduate student, in the future, you can lose a lot of people.
Yes, of course.
I mean, I see the experience of my children. They studied both before Brexit, in the University of Bath. And without having a particular connection with UK, they decided to continue. They went to London School, and now they work here. This process today, it's more complicated.
But many Italians still want to come to England, yes?
Yeah. Still, because it's still a country that offers you the possibility of career, of experience, of work. Excellent, with huge difference between London and the rest of the kingdom. But we see the number of Italians that live in the United Kingdom, they are everywhere. There are more than 120,000 Italians living in the area of Manchester, Birmingham, Liverpool.
But how many Italians altogether live in England? Officially
registered, there are a little bit more than 500,000. And we are the third largest EU citizen community living in UK after Poland and Romania.
But many people went back also in Poland and Romania. No?
There were, my Polish colleague told me some time ago that they had a quite significant reduction just after the referendum, but before Brexit. So in the year that they decided they were out, but not yet. And this was a moment when also some Italians left here. But now they are back. Because
they come back.
Yeah, because the feeling that you have here, that besides all the amount of problem, the real will to try to find workable arrangement are there. We will go there. This week I went to a ceremony that was organized here at the Royal Society for the coming back of United Kingdom in the Horizon program, so the cultural scientific cooperation with universities. This is an important result, huge result.
But there is a feeling that in different ways they are going to get closer again to Europe because after all...
We are all Europeans. It's Europe.
No, because it's a great
EU.
loss for UK, but also for Europe,
No
right?
doubt. As you told, my career, I worked in the European institution a long time ago. I studied in Brussels a long time ago. But when I worked in the European institution, I remember then when you had some British colleagues on the dossier which we were dealing to, especially British people working for the European Commission, you were very happy because average speaking, they were the best.
The best.
The best.
But you have a very interesting experience to judge. And then also the question is, what is the difference between London and the rest of the country? Is it a bit like Paris, and as you lived in Paris for many years, and the rest of France? Is it very different, London, from the other cities, the other parts that you have certainly visited?
All the countries have important capitals. In some cases, especially in Europe, also the unification of the country were fueled by the capital, Paris, but also Madrid, Berlin, Vienna. Rome is an exception, and London too. But the differences among London and the rest of the country, I never saw something like this in the other countries. Paris is Paris, but France is more close to Paris, or Madrid is more close to Spain, with all the differences that you have in Spain than here in London.
If you are from Liverpool or Manchester, Bath,
no, you are
Cardiff,
English.
You're English, but
you are
very
English,
different.
But London is so different, so international. That's personal opinion, of course. That means that it's true. But I lived in New York, and now I live in London. The end of the games, I think that London is more international than New York. And this was true also before Brexit. Think London in 2023.
But the English people like London or they don't like London?
That's a difficult question for me because I don't know. I can reply to say that I am impressed by the quality of the life in the English countryside that you don't see in Italy, for instance, or in France.
But do you have the feeling that with or without Brexit, England has still a special relationship with America, as you have been there for many years, or this is a bit of a legend?
It's a complicated question. The feeling is that here they believe there is a special relations. We, European, when we see UK, we think there is a special relations. Do they feel the same in America? I don't know, but America is changing a lot. It is changing a lot. So maybe it's not so special relations like they think of this part of the country. But then, of course, the common history, the common language, the democratic model, etc., help to build this kind of relation. What I can say regarding this fact is that having serving in America, having serving in UK, when something of Italian happen in London, you know also in America. When you try directly from Italy to US, you need more effort to keep the attention. So in some way, Americans look what's happening here.
But besides the normal differences, obvious differences, in terms of countries, do you think that England and Italy nowadays are similar countries, of similar importance?
I think so. If you see the economic situation, yes. If you see the cooperation, yes. Big differences is that when you go in the soft power, we have a totally different kind of soft power. Our soft power is linked to the Italian way of life, in a broader sense of the term. Here they have still a strong power that belongs to the past. you still feel some imperial approach. The empire is not more there, but people still recognize to this country a glorious past, if I can say. And they have the most powerful and iconic weapons of this language, which English is. Someone says that English is the today Latin, but this is not true, because when Latin was the language of the Roman Empire or the Catholic Church, Latin was the language of the upper class, but not the rest. Otherwise, we never created the Italian, French, Spanish, etc. English today is spoken, or people try to speak, doesn't matter which part of the society you belong.
Class.
It's absolutely an universal language.
It's badly spoken everywhere.
Yeah.
You are, as ambassador at the court of St. James, what relationships you had or you have with the royal family? Because this is also something, the Italians are very interested in the English royal family. Somebody tells me that TVs and are very worried for the health of the king, for the health of the princess, and they like to know all the gossips and so on and so forth. You obviously met the royal family. What kind of relationship you have, and what is your impression?
There is a sort of addiction to the royal family, or at least, if I can put it this way, an addiction to the gossip linked with the royal family. When I met someone in Italy and it turned out I'm ambassador in England, everybody started to speak about the royal family. And a lot of them, they have a lot of informations, not always true information, but a lot of information. But when you try to explain that here, the monarchy is not only Charles, William, the relations among the brothers, but it's an institution. It's the institution of this country. Then people are a little bit lost. They don't understand what does it means. Because the fairy tale imagine or the witch tale imagine is there. But sure, it's the most profound and powerful tool of information that the Italian looking for coming from this part of the world. What's happened to the royal family. We as an ambassador, my wife and myself, we have met the kings, the queen, the Prince of Wales, the Princess Beatrix and her Italian husband.
The king is very keen on Italy, they say, no? That the king loves
This is what he told me when we met the first time. He told me that he has been in Italy more than 30 times. Actually, the first time that I met King Charles when he was still Prince of Wales was in Italy as chief of protocol. He was there for the G20 summit state dinner in the Quirinale. I didn't know. I was hoping to be named ambassador here, but I was not named yet. But it was very nice, even in this occasion. When we met, he told me, we have met in Rome, but I'm quite sure that someone had prepared the dossier. But he was very professional in saying this. But then he told me that actually he loved Italy and he loves He spoke a lot about his strong interest to the Italian food, but not in a way of being sympathetic with me. No, he was knowledgeable. He told, what you have done in promoting the different ecosystem, the concept of, and he told in Italian, the concept of chilometro zero was created by my good friend Carlin Petrini. So what is, I think, the most incredible character of the king? He's a king. He was born to be a king, born to be a king. I think he liked to be a king. But he is also a man that has waited a long time for being king. So he's a man who had his own life with his own interests. He's a man full of interests. When you met the king, you have always short but intense conversation. This is evident. And I think this was also shown by the wave of sympathy that was coming out after they announced that he has cancer. Because in 2 days, there were waves of wishes to him. And together we made a big differences because we think that 50% of these waves were addressed by people that believes in the institution. So it's
the Italian community wrote to the embassy? I mean, there were
wrote to the embassy, no, but it doesn't matter who I met. The first question is, do you have any news about the king? Because a significant part of these wishes were made by people that not necessarily are royalists, but they like Charles. I think that he was excellent in creating in 1 year, some months of kingdom, a connection with these people. So even the people that don't believe or that they believe it's a little bit anachronistic, the monarchy, that it's time to moving on. But then they have a king that speak to them about the climate change, the protection of the history, culture, nature, and this is unique. This is just him.
So do you think that this country is managing well tradition and future to be a modern country in terms of technology and whatever, we know, and the past? Imperial nostalgia that you were talking about before, the royal family, and in the same time, is it a modern country? I mean, how do they...
I don't know if they are managing all this very well, but what I know is that it's the country where they are trying harder than other parts to combine the two elements. We belong to a country with a long past, beautiful past. I mean, the country with the highest number of UNESCO sites, the country where it doesn't matter where you go, it's this is our huge past, etc. Doesn't matter which part of Italy are you. But then when you go to the contemporary, it's a little bit more challenging in Italy. I don't mean that there are no incredible excellence of contemporary in Italy. I just was today in a place close to Oxford, that it's called the Radford Appleton Laboratory. It's had 40 years of cooperation among Oxford University and il Consiglio Nazionale di Ricerche, an incredible laboratory. It's a sort of small CERN of Geneva, Anglo-Italian. So we are able to do this. But the image of Italy is not a very dynamic modern country. We have to improve this. Here it's different because...
But it's also a less global country.
It's less global country.
Here there are many people from all over the world. I don't know if they're minorities or majorities. And there is also a difference between the way, for instance, the Muslim population is integrated here vis-à-vis France or other European countries, no? I mean, you have the feeling that here it's, as you said at the beginning, vis-à-vis London, it's such an international country, still keeping its own traditions, and that's what happens.
I was surprised when I went to the opening of the Parliament ceremony that is held in the House of Lords. We as ambassadors are asked to arrive there 1 hour before. You are sit there, and then you see to entering all the Lords, because the event is at the House of Lords. And then you see exactly what I'm trying to say, because you are in the House of Lords with all the pomp and the circumstance, all the lords with their uniform, etc. And they are lords, no doubt about this. But then you see the lords with the Indian casket, the baroness of African origins, the people that speak each other in Portuguese. They have here capacity to create ruling class from everywhere in the world. Maybe it's because of the empire.
Do you think that this is the monarchy that is the head of the Commonwealth and all that?
I don't know if it's the monarchy, but we have no alternative. This happened in this country with the monarchy. Then I don't know if it's the monarchy or not, but no doubt this is happening here. I want to make an example, for instance. One of the major arguments that today everywhere it's about artificial intelligence. No, it's the center of all the discussion, analysis. If you heard the analysis of artificial intelligence in Italy, but in Europe in general, in the European Union, it's all focused or mainly focused on important topics, but basically how we rule it, the danger of not ethical use of this, the element to make some allow AI and forbidden AI, very important element. Here, the main topics is how we exploit artificial intelligence.
Well, because this is a more pragmatic country, no?
More you are pragmatic, maybe you're right. Maybe you need pragmatism to be a country with a formal tradition and a high level of innovation.
Makes this country quite exceptional, no? I mean, some other northern countries like Denmark or Sweden, maybe, or Norway, have more or less the same kind of pace. But they are smaller.
But they are not so international like here.
No. And they're smaller.
They are smaller, they are different. Maybe it's not anymore. Maybe our British colleagues didn't like this, but this was a big power. You still smell it.
But the power is lost, partly.
The power...
So do you think that the power is an attitude?
Well, it's a lot. This, in some way, we had this attitude for centuries, even after the fall of the Roman Empire. Today is a little bit too much to... Sure, the Renaissance was linked also with formal attitude. And they have, in this country, this attitude, the openness to dealing with great past. You feel it. But of course, the power is not anymore here.
Of course, they won the war. They have all the mythology of the war, and the right mythology.
I remember once when I was in Paris at a dinner. I was sitting close to the wife of a British ambassador, and we lived, all of us, more or less, close to Place Charles de Gaulle. And if you have lived in Paris, Place Charles de Gaulle, each month, in some way, some moment is closed for military ceremony. And that night, this wife ambassador complained to me saying, they are again made. Why they've closed the place? Because it's the anniversary of I don't know which Napoleon Wars, etc. She told to me, that's incredible. This country has lost all, since Louis XIV, has lost all the war except the war that fought with us. We have won all the war. If they close Charles de Gaulle Place each month in Paris, what we are supposed to do in London that we won all the war? What does it mean to have a great past?
Yeah, I mean, this is a joke, but the relationship between France and England are very different than the relationship between Italy and England, no? I mean, there is much less rivalry. If you read notes about Churchill and de Gaulle, no, the relationship during the war, it wasn't very easy.
The last time that we compete to be the master of the world was 2,000 years ago against the Brits.
You mean the Italians?
Someone who came from the Italian peninsula. With the French, they, until 100 years ago, they fought. So a little bit more. But I mean, the souvenir is more recent.
But tell me, what do you do? What is your experience here? What are the major issues of your appointment? I mean, what is the Italian ambassador doing in London?
One reply. An Italian ambassador in London never rests. Never. I expected an impegnative job, but not so much. We never stop. There is always an event. I remember one of my master, when I was a young diplomat, that some moment told me, he was an ambassador, and he told me, because you think that for being an ambassador, you need to know about politics and economy. No. Remember, you need two elements for being a good ambassador. Strong health and ready to eat everything. And this is true. This is an agenda of continuous daily. If you ask me, and this happened quite often as Italian ambassador, someone asked me, give me some suggestion about a good Italian restaurant in London. I don't know. Because almost every night I have an official event. When happened that we have night with no engagement, my wife and myself, we stay at home to rest.
You probably have a good cook here.
We have a good cook.
You have an Italian cook, obviously.
More interesting than this, because formally he's not Italian. He was born in Czech Republic. And his name is a Czech name, but this is also a good proof of the importance of European integration. His family moved to Piemonte when he was 8 years old. So he's more Italian than me.
So for you are Neapolitan, he's doing Piemontese cuisine to you?
Absolutely. His vitello tonnato is amazing. His grissini that he made here at home, you became addicted to this grissini. And I'm saying it in a very joking way, but it's one of the main tasks to have an excellent chef in Italian embassy, because this is part.
That's what people expect.
And this is also help you a lot to have a good event conversation. More or less regularly, I host closed dinner with people from different think tank, clubs, etc., speaking from all this political spectrum of UK, speaking about this political situation, etc. What we have had during this informal dinner, because they were the Italian residents eating excellent Italian food, the Italian wine, etc.
There was a famous diplomat who was Talleyrand, who used the food and the cuisine a lot to impress people.
Do you know that when I was in Paris, my office was in the former bedroom of Talleyrand? Imagine if this room. Sometimes I say I would like to...
Le famous Hôtel de Gallifet.
Exactly.
You were there.
Yeah.
You were staying there.
Yeah.
No, but it's true. I mean, I'm sure that this is what people are expecting. You couldn't have bad Italian food at the Italian embassy in London. But what is your job also? You receive a lot of information from Italy and you have to inform the English press or politics about what's going on in Italy. I'm not a politician, but at the moment, this country, another foreign country, is quite appreciative of Italy. Something has changed a little bit.
In 1 year and a half, we moved to a very stereotypical image to a concrete image. One of the turning points was the visit that you named before of our Prime Minister, because she arrived here. And, at the beginning, the British press was not so sympathetic with the Prime Minister, all the discussion linked with her past. And then she came here and they discovered a very pragmatic but committed politicians.
Yeah, plus she's
and
a woman,
then
she speaks English well.
She speaks English, that it's almost never the case for Italian politicians. But this was just the tools. But then I think the position that Italy has had during this year of the government, you could agree or disagree on this, but there is a coherence and a general picture that this country appreciates a lot. So today, we have just felt this during the Venice Seminary. We are a country that some British journalists told me, you now are the bulk of stability in Europe. And if you think some of our past
Italy is
history...
not only the place where to go for holidays, and plus now there is also taxation, which is very special in Italy, for foreigners who want to establish them in Italy.
And especially in some parts of Italy. Actually, there are a lot of... More I go meeting the ruling class of England, of UK, not England, and more I discover that they have houses in the south of Italy. A lot of ministers say, yes, I have a house in Cefalù. Yes, I have a house in Puglia. Yes, I just bought a house close to Amalfi. I don't have any summer houses in Italy.
Yeah, there is this certain love. Maybe the two characters go well together.
Yeah, exactly.
No? But tell me something. I guess it's under your umbrella, the Italian language. How is it studied in the UK? I mean, there is an increase in the learning of Italian language. Is any effort made, or is it well taught in the universities or in the schools? Or?
This is a sector that has been affected by Brexit, especially in the universities. We have this special figure in the universities called lecturer. So Italians who are in the university to reading in Italian, to make their courses in Italian, etc. After Brexit, we still are trying to find common rules to change these lectures. And we still are not yet there. So what is happening in the last year that lecturers from different universities are leaving because their contract is over, and we are not yet able to send a new one because there is no legal framework to put this kind of work, because those are people that works in the UK university, paid by Italy. And this has affected the level of the Italian course.
Because at the level of scholars, obviously, history of art historians, all that world cannot exist without Italy.
Music, right? Opera singer.
But I thought about, the fact that even in business or in daily life, I mean, people must... which is the language that the English people learn first? German, French... Spanish?
I think Spanish, because there are a lot of English that live in Spain.
You work on that subject?
We work on the languages. This is one of the reasons why...
There are not many books translated from Italian.
It depends.
This is in the United States as well.
Well, it depends. It's starting to especially English books translated in Italian and not vice versa. We can do more. One of the reasons, you make a reference before, on the fact to have a Palazzo Italia, where putting also the Cultural Institute.
This is your aim, to create a Palazzo Italia.
Because when you have an Istituto di Cultura in the same place of embassy, it's easier to elaborate common strategy, also to
And
push each other.
which are the major fields? Cinema, music, opera?
Fashion. A lot,
Yeah.
a lot. Food. People go to Italy to become chef and they learn Italian. But if you ask me if there is a exhaustive, complete strategy, more or less.
There is not a real cultural strategy.
No, just referring to language, to the studying of Italian. There is a
and the
cultural
Italian school, you have Italian school here?
There is just one Italian school, just the first grade. The problem of the foreign school in UK, even if, for instance, French are by far larger than us, even German, but the pressure, the influence, the importance of English is so strong that parents that living here prefer to put their pupils in English-speaking school because they say, well, at the end, they will speak Italian, French, German at home, but it's important for their future to have a strong...
Because as you said, the fact that this country is more and more multi-ethnic, let's say, gives to English this quality of unifying language. Right?
It's a unified language here, and it's the world language. So if you as parents have the opportunity to give to your pupils the possibility to speak English as native language.
But at the end of the day, if instead of an interview, this was a book, right? How would you finish this book? After your experience here now, a year and a half, what are the most important things for you that you learned, that you understood, that you hope?
I learned that this is a complex country. So even UK is victim of stereotype. So you need to come here, to live here, to visit each single part of the kingdom to understand the complexity, also the beauty of this country, their culture, etc. And this is what I learned. I understood that there is, as you said, a sort of love, complexity with Italians that is very easy, maybe because we are not anymore a competitive power with them since a long time. So it's more easy to be relaxed with us, vice versa. It's very easy to be an Italian ambassador in UK, very easy, because except some exception, we are always very well accepted. Italy, in this country, is synonymous of beauty, good experience, etc., with all the exception of the coast.
And the Italians who lived here for many generations, are they still attached? I mean, you know, in America, people say, I'm Italian, I have a Polish mother, an Italian father. You know, they love to, even if they don't speak a word of Italian. Is it the same here?
It could be the same with a huge difference. I lived in Brazil, I lived in eastern part of the United States for a long time. And you are right. You met people that say, I'm Italian, but then they don't speak Italian.
It.
My grandfather was Italian.
They never went to Italy.
Exactly. But they are Italian. But actually, I call them, and this is the same also in Brazil, I call them Italo Plus. Italo-Americans, Italo-Brazilians.
And they're Italo-English or not?
There are some Italo-English. There are some part of the community that are the third, fourth, fifth generations. But the big difference with that country is they are a minority. So of more than these 500,000 Italians who live here, 75% of people who arrived here now.
Recently, right.
They choose to be here. So it's a choice. And they have arrived here with all the respect, with the history of our migration. It is an important history for our country. But they arrive here in a different form of migration. Was a choice of migration and not a necessity of migration.
Many Italians used to open ice cream shops in England, no? For instance. Yeah. But are they attached? This community is attached to you? Are you going to see them?
I went.
Do they have Italian passports still, or they
have, and especially one of the reasons why the number of Italians are increasing, there are some of them, they are third, fourth, fifth generation, that before Brexit, they were also Italian, but with the British passport. Now they need the Italian passport.
They want to be European.
They need, it is important to have this.
So you have an increase in passport.
Yeah. Say that there is an old Italian church here in London, in the place where once were the Italian community, and it's still a quite lovely church. Now they have a quite new young pastor They had some critical moment with COVID, especially because, of course, the old people. But now it's revamping. There is where you more met this more traditional Italian community. I had quite surprises when I went to visit some part of the North Wales, Scotland, and also Northern Ireland. There you have more some echo of the ancient migration. In Wales, the children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren of the Italian miners who went in Wales too. And they are very proud of Italian, Italo-Welsh.
Italo-Welsh, not English, Welsh. And you see that there are big differences, that this United Kingdom is going to stick together. This you don't know.
That is 1 million question that I'm not able to reply. I see difference for sure, but I see also a lot of common history. So your family come from France and then Piemonte. I'm from Naples. I'm very proud to be Neapolitan. I'm joke against the Piemontese who arrived to conquer our kingdom, but we are Italians. Here the differences, maybe it's a little bit more striking in the last 20 years, but they are British. They are British.
They're British.
Yeah, they have common history. So.
And in this sense, the crown is important, no? To unite.
Yes, without the crown, I don't know, because at the end of the history, I think that the monarchy here is the real unifying factor in a country that is changing a lot. So more the country changed, and more became difficult to find a common sense. And the monarchy, for the moment, it works.
They still go to Scotland, wear kilts.
Exactly. And you see, when it was interesting that when there was the announcement of the Council of the King Charles, among the first message was made by the new First Minister of Northern Ireland, that it's Catholic, Republican, but then she sent a message to the King immediately. Political move, maybe, but she made it.
So, thank you very much for being with us. Good luck, and I hope that this relationship will keep on going as well as they are going to.
Why not?
Thank you.
Why not?
Grazie.
Grazie.
Alain Elkann interviews.